Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, June 22nd. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amitha Sharma in for Maya Tribulsi. Tensions are running high after an incident on Saturday at a CIF championship basketball game between Coronado High School and Escondido's Orange Glen High School. Tortillas were thrown at players from Orange Glen, a predominantly Latino school. KPBS race and equity reporter Christina Kim is in Coronado for more on what's being done to address the situation.
That's right, Amitha. I'm standing right outside where the Coronado Unified School District's governing board is holding a special meeting tonight to discuss how the school should address the incident. It's expected to be a packed and emotional meeting.
I'm in disbelief, my brother's in disbelief, so is my mom. We're not ones to really, make a big deal out of certain things, but this one kind of just hit different with us being Hispanic.
Cassandra Garibay, whose brother Anthony plays on the Orange Glen basketball team, says she wants to see the Coronado High School head basketball coach fired. But she has compassion for the student players, some of whom have reached out to Orange Glen players since the incident.
I just don't feel like they should be punished as a whole because it wasn't every single player participating in those actions.
That's something Andres Rivera, an Orange Glen parent, agrees with. At a rally earlier today in front of Coronado High School, he says the coach was the instigator, who allegedly yelled profanities at Orange Glen's head coach.
This whole chaos was created by Coach LaPerry. It was disgusting. I'm calling for his firing.
Yes, fire the coach, fire the coach.
National organizations like the League of United Latin American Citizens and the local chapter of CARE have also called for Coronado's coach to be fired and have asked the California Interscholastic Federation, or CIF, to consider stripping Coronado High School of its championship title. CIF has said they will take next steps after reviewing incident reports from both schools. In a statement to KPBS, Escondido Unified School District Superintendent Dr. Ann Steferi denounced the incident, but says healing for students and the surrounding community is necessary. She said, "This is an opportunity for restorative justice, an opportunity to reflect, to learn, and to adjust behaviors." David Karp is the director of the Center for Restorative Justice at the University of San Diego. He says restorative justice, which is about addressing harms and centering those most impacted, can start with a simple question.
What would it take for the impacted school community to want to play basketball with Coronado in the future? Like, what would make them excited about meeting up with this team again?
This is just the most recent case of racism in high school sports. Cathedral High School was placed on a 2-year probation after the football team posted racist photos targeting Lincoln High School. Cathedral and Lincoln High are participating in restorative justice meetings. The Coronado Unified School District immediately issued an apology to Orange Glen, and school leaders have said they are committed to conducting a thorough investigation and supporting healing dialogue. The Coronado School Board is expected to decide on disciplinary actions at tonight's meeting. Christina Kim, KPBS News.
A recent report found San Diego's job recovery rate is behind the state and national average. As KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer explains, the reason is people aren't returning fast enough to restaurant, bar, and hospitality jobs.
A report from the San Diego Workforce Partnership, Manpower West, and Point Loma Nazarene University says the region added 2,000 jobs in May, but employment in San Diego County is still lagging. Daniel Enemark is a senior economist with the San Diego Workforce Partnership. He says parts of the hospitality industry may never fully recover.
Bars and restaurants, hotels continue to have dramatically lower employment than they had before the pandemic. And that's not surprising because half of the workers in those sectors lost their jobs during the pandemic.
San Diego industries are recovering at different rates. Construction and utility jobs are back to pre-pandemic highs, but leisure and hospitality employment are only at 76%, of what they were before COVID-19 restrictions. Lynn Reeser is chief economist at Point Loma Nazarene University. She says the state's COVID-19 restrictions played a big factor in the lower employment numbers for hospitality.
Many of the hotels and many of the restaurants at points of time where they were allowed to reopen, and then they had to shut down, and they were allowed to reopen, and some could only go outdoors. And so a lot of workers have said, you know what, I think I'm just going to look at something else to do here.
Daniel Enemark says leisure and hospitality jobs are still significantly understaffed in the region, and now is a great time to be a job seeker.
A lot of employers I'm talking to are saying, listen, we'll take anybody off the street and train them to do the work, and we will pay them better than we've ever paid them before. So this is a great time to be finding that work.
According to Enemark, their monthly report of the region's employment will be most accurate starting in August, as restrictions won't play a factor in the job data. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Young people across California are calling on the state to do more to prevent their families from being evicted. KPBS reporter Alexandra Rangel has more on their call to action.
Landlord just raised our rent another $200 for the third time in the past year, and I'm scared. I don't want to put my kids back out on the streets.
The Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, also known as ACE Action, is raising awareness about the thousands of children currently facing displacement from their homes if the state's eviction moratorium isn't extended past June 30. ACE Action says estimates show nearly 700,000 households in California are behind on rent.
Especially for single parents, they are more likely to be behind on their rent here in California.
But in San Diego, a 60-day extension to the county's eviction ban was approved by the County Board of Supervisors earlier this month, giving local renters extra protection from being evicted. Francisco Dueñas, executive director for Housing Now, says families with children are most at risk.
And for young people in particular, the impacts of an eviction are very real and long-lasting.
Alejandra Mendoza just graduated from Mar Vista High School in Imperial Beach.
All I could think about was, what if we're going to be homeless, or what am I going to do? I felt like I needed to be the support system for my family.
While most seniors are able to enjoy and celebrate their final year in high school, Mendoza and her family have been facing eviction throughout the pandemic.
We have been through 3 eviction notices, from 3 different landlords. Fortunately, we have fought 2 of them with the help of ACE.
As state leaders debate extending the eviction moratorium, youth across the state are urging the governor to extend the moratorium and improve the state's rental assistance programs to make it easier for families to apply.
These are people's lives at stake. And that in itself should frustrate everyone.
Alexandra Rangel, KPBS News.
Patients are suing Scripps Health, alleging it didn't do enough to protect their personal medical data in last month's ransomware attack. 2 lawsuits filed in San Diego federal court this week contend that Scripps should have known about the potential risk because of similar incidents in the healthcare industry. Scripps has not commented on the lawsuits, but said earlier this month there has been no indication that any stolen data was used to commit fraud. It also offered complimentary credit monitoring and identity protection for those whose social security numbers and driver's license numbers were involved. The country is expected to fall short of President Biden's July 4th goal of 70% of American adults having at least one COVID-19 shot. As Daryl Forges reports, the White House is now focusing on new vaccine milestones.
Look at where we are. We have succeeded beyond our highest expectations.
The White House Coronavirus Task Force touting several accomplishments and milestones in the fight against COVID-19.
Since the president took office, COVID-19 cases and deaths are down by over 90%.
But the country will fall just short of the president's July 4th deadline of having 70% of adults with at least one dose. CNN projects we will reach 67 to 68% by that date.
How we see it is we set a bold, ambitious goal, something the president has done from the very beginning. And we are expected to meet that goal just a couple weeks after July 4th.
The White House says 70% of Americans 30 and older have received at least one shot, but the numbers are lagging with young people ages 18 to 26.
We are redoubling our efforts to ensure we are targeting, we are focusing on, we are making the vaccine more accessible for those age groups.
That's crucial with the threat of the Delta variant believed to be more transmissible and causing more serious illness.
In the last 2 weeks, the prevalence of cases resulting from the Delta variant has doubled.
Even when the U.S. hits the 70% goal, the country is not out of the woods just yet.
We are not done until we completely crush this outbreak.
Daryl Forges, KPBS News.
San Diego County is exploring new options for pop-up vaccination sites. As KPBS reporter Melissa May shows us, Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson shots were on the menu at local fast food restaurants today.
People who visited the McDonald's on 2nd Street in El Cajon today could get more than just a burger and fries. They could also get a COVID-19 vaccine.
I've seen people pulling into our drive-thru who may have not even realized we were having this opportunity today. And as soon as they see the tents and this incredible truck, they want to know, where do I go? Where do I have to sign up to be able to get vaccinated?
Leslie Manis owns and operates 2 of the McDonald's restaurants that are providing free COVID-19 vaccines to their employees and the community.
San Diego County has transitioned to pop-up vaccination sites. 8 local fast food restaurants are the latest to offer the vaccine. And as an added bonus, you get a free menu item after you get vaccinated.
And this is a convenience, and I think one of the benefits to partnering with McDonald's is we have locations in everybody's community.
McDonald's approached the county with this unique partnership idea.
I think of the fact that when in my younger days a Big Mac was about 80 cents. That's what first thing that comes to mind. But again, it just goes to show you what a great idea. People got to eat. People are going to come here, they're going to see this, they're going to say, hey, you know what? I got time, 15 minutes to get vaccinated.
Gary Johnston is San Diego County's COVID-19 incident commander. He says he appreciates how local businesses are stepping up to help with vaccine efforts.
Starting as of yesterday, 70 McDonald's across the state are also participating in a very similar event. So this is a great teamwork with the state, great teamwork with the county, and great teamwork with folks like Leslie and other business owners across the region.
The county has transitioned from the large superstations.
And we're getting mobile. We're getting out to where the hard-to-reach places are. We're getting out to the community, and with an expectation that will hopefully help better inform everybody on the vaccine and make it accessible to them much more easier than it would have been in our previous tactics.
San Diego is starting to see the Delta variant of the COVID-19 virus after 4 cases have been reported.
I'm a former Marine, and I like the fact that the vaccine is taking it to the virus, and it doesn't matter what the variant is. You are much less likely to have any impacts from that virus if you've been fully vaccinated.
1.8 million of the county's 3.3 million residents are now fully vaccinated. The county's goal of reaching a 75% vaccination rate has been surpassed. We're now at 86%. Melissa May, KPBS News.
If you're eligible to get a shot but haven't yet, we have all the information about how and where to get one on our website, kpbs.org. Click on the vaccines link on our homepage to find a location close to you. Thousands of asylum seekers subject to the Trump-era Remain in Mexico policy will be allowed into the United States to make their cases. The Homeland Security Department announced those who had their asylum cases dismissed or denied for failing to appear in court can apply again. Registration begins tomorrow, but it's unclear exactly how many people could be eligible. The Biden administration formally ended the Remain in Mexico policy earlier this month. After an increase in both human and drug smuggling off our coast, the San Diego sector of the Border Patrol has now launched a new marine unit. KPBS reporter Max Rivlin-Nadler was there as Border Patrol agents showed off their new vessels.
The amount of maritime smuggling events intercepted by the U.S. government along the San Diego coast increased by 93% between 2019 and 2020. So far in 2021, over 1,200 people have been apprehended while being smuggled at sea.
Amid this backdrop of ongoing, consistent human smuggling attempts along the California coastline, San Diego Sector Border Patrol is establishing this Marine unit. Border security is national security, and the United States Border Patrol will use our forward deployed Border Patrol assets, targeted operations, and information sharing to deter and disrupt human smuggling activities by transnational criminal organizations.
In May, 3 people died after a boat capsized off of Point Loma. At least one of the victims of that accident had tried to enter the United States several times before, but was turned around by Title 42, a pandemic-era policy that rapidly expels people crossing the border. San Diego Border Patrol Chief Aaron Heitka told KPBS that the rise in maritime human smuggling had nothing to do with Title 42, even as the amount of smuggling events began to rise just as the policy went into effect.
We haven't seen any impact of Title 42 on the increase in maritime activity. The individuals that are coming through in the maritime environment are trying to get away. They're not claiming asylum or credible fear, so we don't see a connection to the two.
Heitka said that increased enforcement and infrastructure at the land border was driving people to try to get into the country through the sea. Agent Curtis Cantara showed off the new boats, which will supplement the work of the Coast Guard and Custom and Border Protection's Marine Unit.
We're by no means EMS or anything like that, but we are a first response platform. We do have first aid that we can render. We have emergency extraction flotation devices, emergency extraction capabilities, so we can get people out of the water to safety and then into the hands to EMS where they could be further evaluated.
These boats were originally designed to patrol the Rio Grande, so they're not really going to be used in the open seas where most of these maritime smuggling events take place. Instead, they'll be patrolling the bays and the harbors like this one near Shelter Island. Maxwell Van Adler, KPBS News.
Over a dozen immigrant children described poor conditions in temporary government facilities set up to address the rise in the number of children crossing the border. The accounts were filed last night with a federal court in Los Angeles. Some reported being given undercooked food, as well as limited access to showers and clean clothes. Hundreds have spent 60 days or longer at the emergency sites. As of Sunday, 14,467 children were in the custody of the Health and Human Services Department. The Biden administration says it is redoubling efforts to reunite kids with their families or move them to licensed long-term care facilities. California's long-time ban on assault weapons will remain, at least for now. A 3-judge panel of the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals put a hold on a San Diego judge's decision to overturn the ban. The stay will be in effect until the court can issue rulings in other gun cases. Today, the Ninth Circuit heard arguments in a lawsuit over California's ban on large-capacity magazines, which was approved by voters in 2016. It's a preliminary win for the owners of the San Onofre nuclear plant. A Los Angeles judge has rejected a lawsuit to stop the plant's dismantlement, but the group filing the lawsuit says it's not over yet. KPBS's Alexander Nguyen has the details.
In a 12-page tentative decision, Judge Mitchell Beckoff said the suit was, quote, unpersuasive and undermined by the substantial evidence presented by the Coastal Commission. The suit was brought forth by the Del Mar-based Samuel Lawrence Foundation. It argued the commission, quote, abused its discretion when it allowed Southern California Edisons to take the plant apart. The nuclear plant was closed in 2012. Chelsea Sparty is Samuel Lawrence Foundation's associate director.
This isn't over. The judge took our points under submission, and the case is ongoing.
She says the group wants to make sure it's done in a way that protects coastal resources and the public. In a statement, Coastal Commission spokesperson Milwaukee Schwartz says, the Commission does not have jurisdiction to regulate this federal issue, however, and agrees with the court's tentative ruling. The suit centers on the wet storage pool used to cool radioactive fuel rods. Southern California Edison, the plant's owners, says the pool is no longer needed because the spent fuel rods are now in dry storage. But the Samuel Lawrence Foundation says the pool is needed in case the dry storage canisters break. In a statement, SoCal Edison John Dopkins says, the dismantlement of San Onofre Nuclear Generation Station continues to progress in a safe and timely manner. We look forward to the court's final ruling on this matter. Dopkins says the commission made the right decision when it allowed the plant to be torn down. The judge now has 60 to 90 days to issue a final ruling. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
SoCal Edison is holding a town hall starting at 6 tonight to answer questions from the public. For more information, head to our website at kpbs.org. Two satellite images taken about 1 year apart illustrate the severity of the drought here in California. These pictures of the Angeles National Forest were captured by the European Space Agency. The first is from June 2020, the second from this June. Last year's image shows the forest a lush green. The 2021 image shows it as browned. And reservoirs shown in the current image appear to be almost dry.
We're going to feel nice and cool, comfortable near the coast over the next couple of days. And while we'll see a little bit of a cool down even in some of the interior sections here, we are going to warm back up yet again towards the later part of the work week and as we head into the weekend. For tonight in the metro, we drop off into the mid-60s out there, some low clouds hanging around, maybe even a little bit of drizzle possible in some of the higher terrain, but overall it does look to be mainly dry ahead. Temperatures in Oceanside dropping off into the low 60s out there. Chula Vista getting down to 64. Ramona upper 50s on the board for you for tonight. Then Wednesday, you'll notice we get this increase in onshore flow, which means that the marine layer will likely be thickening up again as this wave of low pressure comes into northern portions of California. That'll push most of the warmth a little bit further into the interior sections of the Southwest, which will mean a little bit of a cool down for some of you here. Temperatures in Ramona, low 80s, Borrego Springs back down to just 100, where you have been around 105, 106, even 110 on some days. So you'll notice, again, most spots are a little bit cooler out there as we head into your Wednesday. Thursday, temperatures remain near normal across most spots here in the Southwest, and the fire concern certainly remains high because we're going to be talking about some gusty winds with that wave of low pressure coming on in. Near the coast, again, temperatures in the low to mid 70s, very nice, comfortable, no complaints for us over here. Further inland, you'll see that drop off into the upper 70s for your Thursday. But after that, temperatures do warm back up. We'll slowly be getting back up into the mid 80s by Saturday and Sunday. In the mountains, again, slightly cooler out there Wednesday, Thursday, upper 60s to about 70 degrees. Could have a thunderstorm in spots in the mountains there. And then after that, temperatures back in the upper 70s by the weekend. And in the desert, it's relatively cool Wednesday and Thursday, but temperatures soar up later this weekend. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Jessica Pash.
The Fast and the Furious franchise releases its 9th entry in what it is calling the Fast Saga. Universal Pictures hopes it will be the film that reignites the box office after more than a year of cinemas being closed or operating at reduced capacity. KPBS cinema junkie Beth Accomando has this review.
We've gone through a year that tested us. But we're starting to see the promise of a new day.
Theaters are now open at full capacity, and Vin Diesel, is personally asking people to return to cinemas.
Where we all came together to be entertained, to escape, to go someplace new.
Well, F9 doesn't really take us someplace new, but it takes the familiar Fast and Furious formula of family, betrayal, revenge, and crazy car shenanigans and turns it up to 11. Okay, maybe 12. I was fully expecting it to be big, dumb, and fun, but the level of dumb gets taken through the stratosphere this time. Justin Lin returns to direct his 5th installment in the saga. I have to give him credit, or blame, depending on how important you think it is for a film to obey the laws of physics, for making the franchise so ridiculously over the top that your jaw just drops and you have to laugh. Some may laugh at it with snide disapproval, but I see the films as so embracing of their ludicrousness that I can't help but be entertained. Vin Diesel's Dom is a more invincible action hero than those Marvel super soldiers. And adding to the surreal absurdity of the film is the way that Lin and Diesel seem to think that the Toretto saga is on par with Shakespearean drama. But again, the intense seriousness that Diesel invests in the role is just another level of outrageousness in the film. I mean, people come back from the dead repeatedly. Surprise. Rockets get strapped to cars.
No, that's not impressive.
And we're reminded of physics and the laws of gravity only to have them dismissed like fake news. F9 clocks in at far too long with far too much plot exposition for a film of this silliness. But for audiences who've been streaming films in home theaters for more than a year, F9 may offer the perfect mix of escapism and big screen flamboyance to lure them off their couches and into a real cinema. I can't say F9 is a good film, but it certainly is an entertaining spectacle of extreme stunts that could put the pandemic in the rearview mirror for at least 145 minutes. Beth Agamando, KPBS News.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, ballot battle. The U.S. Senate takes on election reform in a contentious fight. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Here's another look at today's top stories. Community leaders, students, and families want to see action taken after tortillas were thrown at Orange Glen basketball players after a championship game against Coronado High School on Saturday. The Coronado School Board is meeting right now to hear public comment and decide on disciplinary actions. According to a recent report, San Diego's job recovery rate is behind the state and national average. That's because people in the region aren't returning fast enough to restaurant, bar, and hospitality jobs. So now many employers are offering higher wages, providing more flexible schedules, and requiring less experience to entice job seekers. And as San Diego County transitions from their vaccine superstations to more mobile sites, 8 McDonald's restaurants are hosting pop-up clinics. Customers can choose between the Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson shot. They also get to pick a free food item. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us and have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley. And by the following: by viewers like you. Thank you.